My guest today is speaker, investor, and podcaster Tabatha Thorell. Welcome, Tabatha. Glad to have you.
Thank you, Jen, so much for having me today.
Yes, of course. So before we get into what you do, could you tell us who is Tabatha?
I am a wife, a mom to 5 daughters. I'm a speaker, podcaster, real estate investor, and coach. I come from a small rural town in Nebraska, and that's where me and my husband, we live in his hometown in Nebraska, and we just raise our family and build businesses and invest in real estate. So,
Oh, awesome.
yeah.
All right. So as a mother, I have to ask,
Mhm.
5 daughters.
Yeah.
How do you balance the role of mom? I mean, even with a spouse,
Mhm.
with real estate investment and all business coaching and all you do. Tell us.
Yeah, so there's never a balance. I get this question of like this, and I think that just gives the illusion that like it's all equal, and it's not.
Mm-hmm.
Like for me, being a wife and a mom is number one. So if those things are being compromised, my ambitions and goals in business have to take a little step back, which is hard for me because I am naturally an ambitious person. I have goals, I'm driven, and I have to step back and say, but where are my priorities? Where do I need to be? But also with that, I can't use that as an excuse to not take risks and opportunities when it comes to our family and their financial success, because I do know the importance of that. So I think the balance comes from the mindset of where are my emotions tricking me? Like, when my little 3-year-old's hanging on my leg saying, Mommy, Mommy, I don't want you to go, but I just love
Yeah.
you. And it's like, they know, right? But I know that I'm only gone for a few hours a day and that they are taken care of by an
Yes.
amazing, either my older daughters or we have an amazing babysitter who loves them and nurtures them and is fantastic. And so I know that. But when I'm mom and I have to leave, sometimes, my heart gets pulled, but it's like, I'm where I need to be for those moments. So it's really having a balance act of the priorities and my emotions. Like mastering those is probably the hardest skill
Yeah.
set to, and I don't even say I've mastered it yet, but just every day realizing, what is true and what's kind of playing on my emotions for the day, because I might just
Mm-hmm.
really be feeling tired and like, oh, I don't want to go into work today. Or I'm at work and I'm loving it. And I'm like, I don't want to go home to the tantrums and the teenage drama. And so both kind of play because it's like, but where do I need to be? Like
Yes.
for that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So it's like where focus goes, energy flows, and you
Yep.
have to prioritize that focus as opposed
Yep.
to trying to manage balance, right?
Yes. Yes, for
Yeah.
sure.
Okay, awesome. Thank you. All right. So, yeah, that is something I was looking at and I was thinking that you are busy without working at a job. So
Yeah.
you multiply that several times. All right. So what do you think is the thing that separate people who are successful from
Mhm.
people who quit?
Well, I just heard a mentor of mine, Myron Golden, if you guys are familiar with him, he just made a statement about success, and he defines success as someone who is living in their purpose, pretty much. I'm paraphrasing here, but like someone who is doing what they were called to do, meaning they were put on
Mm-hmm.
this planet for that specific thing. They are doing it. That is what true success means. So if you are called to be a speaker or an author or a doctor or a teacher and you're living that and you love that, then that's what success is. And so I think where people might fail at that is they look at how other people obtain success, or they look at success as like when I reach 7 figures, or they look at a monetary amount, or when I get this specific degree, this accolade, so many followers, or if I get famous, then I'll be successful. You're more likely to quit or falter or or fizzle out because you're not rooted in what success truly means. And people define success and fulfillment as two different things. But for
Mm-hmm.
me, and I think Tony Robbins quotes this too, is success without fulfillment is true failure. Because if you are not feeling fulfilled in it, I don't think you actually feel successful. Because
Yeah.
you might have the money success, you might have the fame success, but how many people do
Right.
we know that are famous that committed suicide or that are drug addicts or alcoholics? I wouldn't call them successful. Or they have, 8 marriages and 16 kids with, I wouldn't look at that as successful, but they might
Yes.
say, but I have a successful business, so I'm
Mm.
successful. But to
Right.
that's not success. And that goes back to what I told you about the balancing and the priorities. Where are my priorities at? Because I have
Yes.
to look at that. If I truly want to be successful in this world, like when I die, if I die tomorrow and all I did was hustle and grind for 80 hours a week and my kids didn't know my name, that's not success to me. But if I'm
Right.
at home and I'm tired and I'm frustrated and the kids are whining and I know I have more to give and I don't ever allow anybody else to come in and watch them because I think that I am the only one that can ever, you know, sit with my kids and play Legos with them, then that's not successful. So for
Right.
me, like I have to look at that and be like, I gave what I was called to do on this earth, but also in ways as being a mom and a wife and a speaker and an investor and a coach, all of those different areas. And they all align. I think for me, when people talk about what I do, it sounds heavy or it sounds busy, but it's
Mm-hmm.
not, because it's what I love and it just all comes in alignment. Now, it doesn't
Right.
always, it's not always perfect. And a lot of times
Yeah.
I manage my schedule and my kids' schedule, but it aligns. It still might be
Yes.
full, but it's not heavy.
Yeah, I get that. And I think that's why it is so important that we pay attention to our lives, our mindset, what's going on with us, because we can allow, the outside to influence how we think about our situation. I mean, I
Yeah.
ask you about all the things you got going on, and you may not even see it that way. You
Yeah.
mean your life is so lined up as far as you're concerned, and it
Yeah.
may look messy to me, right? But that's not what matters. It's what you are experiencing, and
Yep.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Sure.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
All right, so we mentioned quit in that respect, and I often think of podcasters who quit
Uh-huh.
because I think about 90% of us quit before we barely start.
Yep.
So what can you tell us your opinion? Give us your opinion as to why you think that is.
Well, I had a podcast in 2018 and I quit it after like 8 episodes. And honestly, it wasn't necessarily because I didn't have a lot to say. It was I didn't see the value. I didn't have the time to edit all the videos and to come up with content. And I kind of had a vague, like I knew who my target market was, but it was just very vague. It was kind of about like fitness and nutrition because that was the coaching business I was in. And so it was just kind of giving insights and tips on that, which is it was a great concept, but I didn't have the people to help me facilitate it, because when you first do a podcast, you are losing more money than you're making, because unless you're doing everything yourself, and you're still losing money because you are giving up your time, which is more valuable than money. So whether you're saying, no, Tab, I don't spend any money, I get the free version of this, I get the free version, but you're spending the time to edit, to do the trailers, do whatever you're doing, like that's your time. So
Yes.
you're still
Yeah.
spending money or time to do it in the beginning. And so I didn't see the I always look at, why am I doing this? Like, what's the outcome? What, this isn't just about the Tab show where I can just talk all the time, right? Like, what is the business? Am I giving value to people? Are they actually receiving it? Is this going to help the bottom line of my finances, my business? And at the time it just wasn't. So I quit, right? But a friend of mine, probably 2 years ago, was like, hey, you're building up these relationships with these people and you don't have a platform for them to come and like speak on. You need to do a podcast. And I'm like, ugh, I don't like, I don't have
Go
time for that,
again. Yeah.
right? Like everybody's like, I don't have time for that. I don't know. And
Yeah.
but I have a guy, like you need to, hear this guy out. And so I met with him and he was like, we can do this for you. We can do this for you. We can do this for you. All you really have to do is do the interview. And I'm like, well, I can do that. I can meet people and have interesting story. So we just rolled with the concept. And I told myself, I looked at it an investment for a year. I said, if I pay for his service for a year and I spend this amount of money and I look at it in a year, and if I haven't made anything, is this a good investment into my business, into my platform of serving people? If it is, then I'm going to do it. Just like I'd buy a coaching program, just like I'd invest in a building for a bricks and mortar, whatever it is, I looked at it that way. And so I think that is the difference when people look at the podcast and they don't look at it like if you have like literally like tab, I don't have the money at all. Like I can't even look at that. So if you invest your time for a year, give it a year. You have to give it a year or say at least 50 episodes. So ours was like if I do one episode a week for a year, 50 to 52 episodes if we take off, whatever. So if I do 50 episodes. So I looked at that. So you have to look at that and say, am I willing to give it the time or the money it deserves? And if I'm not, then don't even start. Because I think so many people say, well, I want to serve, I want to give value. That's great, but you're going to be a broke difference maker who gets so frustrated. And the other way, again, go back to that success. What are you really called to do? And if you are called to be a podcaster or a speaker, then you better treat it like a business and treat it with the respect it deserves. And it deserves your time or deserves your money or both. And if you can't do that, then maybe that's not what you're called to do. And you need to have some real truth moments with yourself. Because I think so many people just think like it's the hot thing to do, or I have a lot to say. I want people to hear me. And that's awesome. That's a noble thing. But if you don't learn how to get it out so people are hearing you and how to monetize that so your own family and you can thrive, then that's almost selfish. So
Yeah.
you have to look at it that way from the beginning. And then I always just say, like, you really need to figure out a way to hire a team to help you because they help you with mindset. They help you with the things that you don't want to do. They usually know the marketplace a little bit better than you, so they can help with headlines and different things like that. And then just being knowledgeable with the people that you're serving, like who is your target market, and stay with that. Don't be vague. I've been a guest on I think 65 podcasts this year, and a lot of podcasts are really vague. And the more narrow you can be, the more you're going to have a loyal audience. So that's just some little tips that I'd say.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that. We can always use the tips in podcasting, right? And I guess the difference is that, with podcasting, we have to understand it's just a platform for sharing our message.
Yeah.
And sometimes we got to separate the two.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, thank you. So you're passionate about helping people turn their dreams into reality.
Mhm.
Tell us how you do that and how we can get in touch with you.
Well, I always tell people, like, what's your vision for life? Like, if there was no limitations, if you were just like given a magic wand, like, what does that look like? And most people can't answer. Adults, kids, they can. But adults were so bogged down with past experiences and limitations that it's hard. But if you dig a little bit and really do some reflecting, like what's that look for you? And in the beginning, if you've never done this, it's kind of scary and it's kind of piddly at first. You just like, well, I just want like maybe my house paid off, or I'd love to go on a vacation, to a tropic island or whatever. Just very like small. That's great because that's still a dream. But figure it out, like what literally, if you could do anything and get paid for it and get paid massive, like tons of money, whatever was just flowing for you, you'd love to do, what would that look like? And look at that, like, if I did that, could I make money out of it? Because the reality is we spend most of our life doing something, our job. We spend the most time at our job more than we do with our kids, more than we do with our spouses, unless you're a stay-at-home parent, right? But usually one parent stays at home and one parent works. So the other parent is spending most of their life doing that thing. And you have to love that, or figure out a way that you can get paid for it to add value to your life and to add value to other people. So really dissecting your dreams, you have these dreams. We have dreams as a kid, and we have dreams of like vacations and houses and things. And I just, break down with people, like, what are those? Like, no limitations, no judgment. If you want a Ferrari, say you want a Ferrari. As adults, we just really, we dulled down, we watered down our dreams because someone told us it was greedy, someone told us it was stupid, someone told us that would never happen. So we
Yes.
push it down. But what happens is that dream was put into you for a purpose. And if it is of noble truth, meaning good virtue, then don't let anybody stop you from that. Right. And looking at your life, if you're married and have kids, does that add value to them? Are they in on the dream, finding that vision, doing that? We work right now with helping families build legacy wealth and teaching their kids wealth principles so that they don't live in scarcity, so that they can dream big dreams because they don't live in the bubble of scarcity and, oh my gosh, urgency because it's going to be taken away, and living in fear. Right? Like, we want to break those things, and we want to teach people that money is abundant and it's out there. And real estate is not just for the multimillionaires. Like, you can do this too. And it just takes that first step. And so teaching those things is really important to me, because what we leave behind is our legacy. And if you have a
Yes.
family and you have kids and you're not investing in that, and you're just investing in your business or your job, then you're missing the point.
Yes. Yes, absolutely. All right. So, and are you able to share like a success story of someone whose mindset you help shift into this abundance mindset? Yeah.
So when I was really heavy into like life and business coaching, one of my clients, this one, I get a kick out of it because I worked with her and I worked with her mom. But when I was working with her, she lived far away from her family. So she'd go back to her family like for holidays and stuff. And I'd been working with her, and we worked on like mindset and just, getting through some stuff. And when she came back after a holiday break, she was laughing because she said, my brother looked at me and said, I don't know what you're doing or who you're talking to, but you just need to keep doing it and probably pay her double
Oh,
because he
wow.
saw the change in her and what
Yeah.
that did for her. And it wasn't even me. Like, it's not like I'm so great in a sense of, look at Tab. It's, I do have an innate ability to help people see things differently. And when you see things differently, you
Mhm.
experience life differently. And so for
Yes.
her, we were just able to work through that, and she was willing to do the work. And that was like, so exciting for me. And another gal that I'm working with right now, because our Legacy Wealth project is in the beta stages. So we're just figuring out like all the things. We know the end result. We want to help families build this legacy wealth. We want them to, no more scarcity thinking, bring your family in on the vision. And a
Hmm.
friend of mine that we kind of coach each other and stuff, we were talking about like what this entails. And she has 5 kids, and she's like, Tab, I want my kids to live in this abundant thinking. Like, I want so badly to have them surrounded by it. And I have worked with other podcasters and stuff, and they're like, oh, I love this for my family, for my kids, so that they have an atmosphere way different than I had, and they can continue the wealth, and we can build it in a way that's inviting to people, instead of thinking that wealth is only for the elite top, muckety muck. It's like, no, you can have that as well. So that's what we're doing. And it's keeplegacywealth.com. If you guys are interested, we have some freebies, and you can get on our email list, and we'll let you know what's going on.
Okay. Oh, awesome. Thank you. I appreciate you, Tabitha, for
Yes.
coming and speaking to us today. And I want you to, and I know you gave a couple of tips to podcasters
Yeah.
specifically, but what are the three things you think all podpreneurs should know?
Well, I tell this for everybody. I say, first, you have to have a vision. And I know I keep going back to that, but your vision is going to anchor you when the times get tough. Let me tell you,
Mm-hmm.
over 20 years, we've been investing in real estate. and been, coaching business and different business for 16 years, the thing that has got me through is the vision. Like, I have been so anchored in what kind of life I want to build for me and my girls and my husband. I don't
Mm-hmm.
know all the details. I'm not meant to know. That's where faith comes in. But I know the
Yes.
vision and I see it. And I'm like, I will not perish because I have this vision and I don't want you to perish. So, first and foremost is vision for sure. Two is action. You have to take action and surround yourself with the right people that are going to get you to take the right action for whatever goal. If it's a podcast, if it's a business, if it's a dream home, if it's buying real estate, you have to be anchored to people that are going to get you to move. Because
Yes.
without movement, we just stay stuck and we stay stuck here and we stay stuck and there's no momentum. And
Mm-hmm.
momentum is what builds that. Momentum is what gets us to where we want to go. So,
Yes.
first and foremost, we have vision. Two, we have action with the right people. And third is forgiveness. You
Mm.
have to have this piece and nobody talks about it. If you do not learn to forgive yourself
Mm.
for mistakes, for blunders, for risks that turned bad, for risks you didn't take, for just losing
Yes.
your temper, eating the cookie, yelling at the kid. If you don't learn the forgiveness piece, you are going to live a life of frustration, inadequacy, shame. I don't care how much money you make. I don't care what it looks like. You inside are going to be so ripped up. And if you don't learn to forgive people around you, and I'm not just talking family members, kids, spouse, those are so important. You need to learn to forgive them and give them grace. But it's people that
Yes.
work with you, it's virtual assistants, it's the marketing company, it's, Zuckerberg for taking your ad money. I don't care if you don't learn to forgive them,
Yeah.
it eats you. So forgiveness is a piece that I wish more entrepreneurs would talk about it because it truly is success and fulfillment. Because if you feel like, oh, I'm doing my calling and I'm earning 8 figures and I have a relationship, but I'm holding on to this resentment, even for myself, like
Hmm.
you've been saying, like, oh, I said I was going to make 8 figures in 2 years and it took me 10. Oh, I'm so horrible. Or, oh, I yelled at my spouse or I stayed at the office too late. I'm such a horrible human being. Because that's the negative talk. But when I can
Yes.
forgive myself and say, Tab, you didn't do things perfect today. And I know you really wanted to, but take a deep breath because the next moment matters. And if I can forgive myself, then I know I can be a better person. If I can't, then I live in the guilt and the shame and I'm not a better person. So those are the things: vision, action with great people, and forgiveness.
Wow. I can't stop shaking my head over the forgiveness piece because we always use that as a personal piece to, motivation and self-improvement. But
Yep.
applying it to business, like forgiving Mark Zuckerberg, for instance, is I like that. I love that. I think that's amazing. That's pretty good. Thank you, Tabitha, for coming and speaking to us today on Tools of the Podcast Trade.
Thank
Any
you.
parting shots?
Just keep going. Like, again, when you have the vision and don't let other people dim your light. I tell my girls this all the time. There are people around you, sometimes demonic strategic ways of that are going to stop you. And you just know that you are a gift and
Yes.
you are meant to be shared. A gift is not meant to stay in the box. The gift is meant to be ripped open, shared, enjoyed, and loved. And that's, what they are. And so you on the other side of this listening, do not dim your light. Go after it. And in our world today, man, the sky is the limit.
Yes. Awesome. True. And do we have all your links? Because I want to put them in the show notes so people could get in touch with
Yes,
you.
if I don't, I'll send them over. But Keep Legacy
Okay.
Wealth is my, or Tab Thorell, both of those websites. I'm Tab Thorell is my Instagram handle. Check out our YouTube because I have a podcast, What Went Wrong, The Untold Stories of Bouncing Back.
Mm-hmm.
All of our episodes are on there and some new training material on the Legacy Wealth Project will be coming up. Comment, let us know. That's kind of where, and we're on every podcast platform as well.
Right. Okay. I appreciate you. Thank you. We'll put
Thank,
those links in the show notes so we can share you. Yeah.
thank you, Jen.
Thanks.